Hi, and welcome to episode 24 of the PassionKnit Spinner podcast. My name is Tracy. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Schnüffeltier. There is a Ravelry group for the podcast, so please come on over and join. There's also a blog for the podcast. It's a WordPress blog. You can find it at thepassionatespinner.wordpress.com. And thank you so much for being here. It's my second podcast in a row. And I got a lot of very lovely comments last week from people who welcomed me back. So thank you very much for that. It really did make my day. So thanks. Okay, what I'm wearing today, I'm wearing a hitchhiker. I did not make that one myself. A friend gave it to me. It's out of some glittery, I think, Schölle und Stahl sock yarn. I don't know. But I'm really in love with this because it's so bright and colorful. She was knitting on this when she was at knit club in my house, and I just looked at it and said, "Oh, is that for me?" And she said, "Yeah, okay, sure." So she made it for me because, you've got to try every now and then. Sometimes you succeed. So that's my hitchhiker. The pattern is by Martina Behm. I'm sure you know it, because if you don't, you've been living under a rock for the last few years. And yeah. I made, I think, 4 myself. I don't know. It's a very easy, very mindless pattern. So, knitting in the past. I did finish the hat that I showed last week. It's the Devilish pattern by Rachel Kupi. It's colorwork. I knit this on a US 2, which is a 2.75 millimeter needle. And the yarns, the black yarn was Shibui Sak and the blue is Koigu. The colorwork is gorgeous after blocking. I really like how the top of the hat looks. The pattern's coming together. I am gonna put it on my hat. I think the yarn that I chose is beautiful, but it's, I don't know. It feels like it's standing up a bit too much. It's not, I like the hat. It's okay. It looks good. So that's a good thing. And I'm going to show you the inside because I'm very proud of that. So this is what my hat looks on the inside. The floats. Turned out great. I'm totally hooked on colorwork now and I want to knit all the things. That's why I bought the Crazed Scandinavian pattern by Vandy D. Johnson. Because, I am crazy like that, so I will knit that sometime next year, maybe. So, finished object of the week is a hat. I really enjoyed it. The pattern is in the Scrumptious collection number 3 that's put out by Fiber Spades, and there's a pair of mittens to go with this, but I don't want to knit them. I don't feel like it, so perfect. Finished object. So good. Let's put that some here. Now, knitting in the present. I've only knit on 2 of my projects this week. The one is the Boku cowl. I'm sure you're sick of seeing it because I'm sick of knitting it. I put a marker where I picked it up, and that's how much I got worked or knit on it this week. I did change my skeins because I ran out of the first skein and I had to attach the second one. But I think it's not that obvious, actually. Because the change is right around here. I like it. So I'm working on the second skein. I really hope to have this done by next week because I'm done with it. I don't want to knit on it anymore. But it just would be stupid to stop because I don't know what to do with the leftover yarn, and yeah. I'm knitting this on 5mm carbons, interchangeables that I got in the summer. And the yarn is Katja Azteca. It's nice to work with. It's a single. It's a wool and nylon blend. It's nice. But like I said, I'm just done with that cowl, loop, whatever thing. I want it to be done. It still lives in my Madbird bag. Awesome bags. So I don't know what else to tell you about it that I didn't tell you 5 times before, so I'm just gonna shut up. The next thing on my needles is something that I did start this week. It's the Father Cables pattern. The pattern is by, it's put out by Yoth Yarns, designed by Veronica Job. I don't know. It's down here. Is the information of the person who made this. The pattern is a free pattern on Ravelry, and I tried to find a picture. Yeah, that's how the hat's gonna look. And I'm knitting it out of my hand spun, and it looks like this so far. I'm over halfway through the pattern, the cable pattern repeat. I think it does show up good in the yarn. And yeah, I don't know what else to tell you. It's a great pattern. It's super simple. It's nice to knit. It's gonna be for my husband. The yarn is amazingly soft. It's an organic Polworth. It's spun from a Three Waters Farm club colorway. I really, really like this. And I have a good chunk left, so there's no problem with the getting through the pattern here, so it's awesome. I'm knitting it on US 7s. That's what the pattern calls for. And I hope to have it done by next week, so I can cross that off my Christmas list as well. It's in my Holland Handmade bag. And of course, she had her Small Business Saturday update yesterday, or today. She's gonna have it today because it's Saturday here. And she did put up some bags yesterday, and I had to get some because I'm crazy. And I love her bags, so Holland Handmade, she's awesome. She also has a podcast. Go check her out. Now, knitting in the future. I still want to knit my Favis shawl that I talked about last week. Didn't start that. I want to knit a bookworm. It's a thing on my Christmas list. It's from this book. It's called Stitching in the Stacks. It's put up by Cooperative Press, and that's what it looks like. I will make this for my brother-in-law. It's the same guy that I knit the zombie last year, because he collects antiquarian books. Is that a word? You know, old used books. He collects them. So I decided to knit him the bookworm just as a little something to put on one of his shelves. So yeah, gonna cast that on soon and have it done in no time because it's super small. The other thing I'm gonna cast on, which will take quite a while longer, is the Norland. The pattern is by Laura Chow. She goes by Cosmic Pluto, just right around everywhere. And I'm gonna knit this as a knit along with a friend of mine, and I am going to use Madeline Tosh Vintage in Tart. I have 8 skeins of this. I should have 10. So I am going to try to make the sweater out of this. And there's a very big collar that's knit on later. And I do have a skein of Tart in the sock. So I'm thinking I'm gonna knit the sweater with this and use the sock yarn held double for the cowl neck thingy here, because I do not want to get yarn, because I have yarn like forever, and as it's hand dyed I cannot get the same intensity of the color anyways, so I'm not gonna try. So the camera is not doing this justice. Tart is the most beautiful red ever. So I'm gonna knit this probably after Christmas, but I want to knit it. That's the last thing for me for knitting in the future. And I just, however, okay. Spinning. I did spin this week because I found out my son loves watching the spinning wheel. So when he's on the couch next to me and he's, you know, playing and crawling around, and of course I'm there to watch that he cannot fall off because he's very active, and I can spin while doing that because I don't have to look at my stuff or my hands when I'm spinning. When I've gotten into the groove, I just can let it flow and spin without having to look at it, and that's awesome. So I managed to spin up 3 bobbins with my sweater quantity. I had hoped that this would be the last 3 bobbins because those are the last bobbins that I own, but it's not. I need 1 more bobbin, and a friend of mine actually is going to send me one because I want to have all of the singles spun before I start plying for a sweater. So yeah. So here are bobbins 6, 7, and 8. I always leave a very fuzzy end, so I will find it again. So here they are. It's, like I said, a combo spin that I'm doing out of 6 different braids of fiber. I cannot wait to ply this up. I think it's going to be amazing. So yeah, those are the 3 bobbins that I made this week. And I have about 1 bobbin's worth of fiber left. I hope to receive that bobbin maybe today. That would be awesome. So I could spin it during the weekend while my husband's still here because he's gone next week for work again. And I don't think that I can get anything done when he's gone. So hopefully I can show you all of the spun bobbins next week. For new stuff, there's nothing. I didn't get anything, which is a good thing because, like I said before, I have a ton of stuff. And I did post a picture on Instagram, I think yesterday, while I was looking for the tart, of the cabinet behind me. You can see there's that whole huge cabinet. I don't know, is it a cabinet? Is it a closet? I think it's a closet. And that closet, you know, from here where this thingy hangs, which holds all my bobbins, to way over here, it's full with yarn and fiber. And that's, I would say, about half of my stash. So I really, really need to get on a stash down. And I'm gonna talk about that maybe next week or so. Okay, Indie of the Week. My Indie of the Week this week is Rachel Kupi. She goes by Coop Knits, and she put up 4 books by now, self-published, but I only have 3. I like to get the 4th one sometime. I have the Socks 1, Socks 2, and Toasty 1, and there's already a Toasty 2. She has hopefully a table of contents and everything here. No, there's not a table of contents in this one. Oh, there it is. You can see all of the patterns in here. There are accessory patterns for hats and mittens and a cowl, I think. And of course the socks books are full of socks. So that's the content for book 2. And I know you cannot really make out any detail, but content for book 1. But yeah, if I were to show you every single pattern that's in here, we're going to sit here for the next 2 hours, and I don't want that. So Rachel Kupi, she also has a ton of downloads on Ravelry, additional to those books, and she does have some stuff published in different magazines and I think Twist Collective. So go check her out. She has amazing patterns, and she also has a new yarn that she kind of designed, which I don't quite understand because it's a 75-25 sock yarn, but somehow she designed a yarn and it's out there, and it's called, I think, Socks Yeah. So check it out. And yeah, check out her patterns. Her patterns are amazing. I really enjoyed knitting the hat, and I want to knit some socks sooner or later, but after Christmas. Okay, so that was the end of the week. For reading, I have nothing. I didn't read a single word this week. I didn't feel it, and I didn't have the time. But I didn't want to make the time, actually, because I was busy spinning and knitting and sewing, so no reading. But I do have sewing, so first thing I did make this week was this wedge bag. It's for a friend's birthday. I'm gonna give it away tonight. That's why I'm recording today instead of tomorrow. I did change the zippers. So if you look at this, I was complaining last week that I didn't like how the zipper thingy worked out. So I changed it this week for this bag, and I like it way better. The only thing is that I cannot open it that far, but I think it's big enough to open it for putting your stuff in and out, so it's fine. I used some turquoisey snowflake fabric for the inside, and this nice Michael Miller raven print for the outside. And yeah, so that's gonna go to a new home tonight. The next thing I made was a mug rug for my dad, because I want all of the people to have something handmade, if it's possible. And my dad did ask for something specifically, so I got him that. But I do want to have him something small that I made. So I dug out a book. It's called Mug Rugs. And yes, I really did buy a book for mug rugs. And I decided on this pattern here as a, go-to, and here is what I made of it. So I think that turned out great. It has a little bit of weird size. I should have made it, wider in here, but I really like how it turned out. I just used scraps of blue fabric, some ribbon, some lacy ribbon, some not so lacy ribbon, I don't know how that's called, and I did put Papa on here, which means daddy in Germany. And yeah, I like it. It's big enough to put your mug, which is, here's my coffee, and you still have enough space left to put some cookies or some other treat next to it. So I think it's good. Okay, now mug rug for my dad. I do like it a lot. After I finished this yesterday, I really wanted to make more, but I don't need more for Christmas, and I really should focus on Christmas gifts, so I didn't make more. But I really like this. The next thing that I made was a pattern test that I signed up for doing. It's a foundation pieced quilt block, and I only made I only did foundation piecing twice before. One for a very simple leftover quilt top that I'm going to show whenever it's done, and one for the mini that I sent out last week, and I talked about it last week. So this was my third attempt at doing foundation piecing. I like how it turned out. I just grabbed fabric that I had in a Surprise Me pack, and I think they go well together. It was quite simple to do. The only thing that I had a problem with, and I think that's because I'm just very new to this, is cutting the fabrics big enough to cover everything and have enough leftover fabric around that goes into your seam allowance. Ha. So that was a problem for me. And as you can see in the middle, I always screw that up. I don't know how and I don't know why, but the middle is always wonky. It was on my mini as well. But I'm gonna try something different next time when I'm gonna do something like that, and just hope for the best. So this will be an orphan block that will go into a big quilt someday whenever I have enough orphan blocks, because I don't want to make more of that just because I don't have more fabric. That's all the fabric I had in those colors, and I really think that this is something that looks great when, you know, the same block is repeated over and over in the same colors and the same fabrics. So I'm just gonna keep it. I'm gonna leave the paper on. That's what it looks like from behind. And I'm gonna leave the paper on until I am done with enough blocks for a orphan block. And as you can see, it's quite big compared to my head. I think it's an 18 by 18 inch finished size. Yeah, sounds about right. So the pattern is by Eileen. It's Turk. She goes by Eileen Nilya on Ravelry and Instagram, and her patterns are available through Davanda and Craftsy, so you can go and find it. The pattern is called Flower Ring. It's very nice. It looks great. Was enjoyable to do. And then yesterday morning, before I made the mug rug, I decided that I needed to make something for myself, because it's, you know, it's Christmas time and I don't have anything else to do, so I need to make stuff for me. And I do subscribe to the Love Patchwork and Quilting mag, and there was an article, or there's always an article by Jenny B, and she had this idea for how to use up scraps. And I did that. So I think a block like this is called Disappearing 9 Patch. I'm not sure, because I don't know quilting terminology at all. But you basically seam up a 9 patch, you know, 9 pieces, same size, just 3 by 3, put them together. Then you cut it and put it back together differently, and I really like how this turned out. All those squares that I've used here are from my friend Erin. She sent them to me. They're charm squares. They're 5 by 5 inches. And I had enough of her charms to make 2 of those blocks. And I decided to, first I wanted to put them with the flower ring pattern for my orphan blocks pattern thingy, because I really made it because I wanted to try out this technique. But then I enjoyed it so much that I made, you know, not just the 1 but 2, and I thought that I might just continue making those whenever I find the time, and whenever I have about 30 of them done, I will make a very happy, very scrappy quilt. I'm storing them like this. That's a clothes hanger for pants. I don't know if you have those outside of Germany, but we do have them. They're called Hosenspanner, and they open up like this, and you put just normally the legs of your pants in here, close it back up and secure it. So I'm gonna do it like this. I'm gonna put them all in here, and they hang just over there on my door. So I really, really love this. I'm gonna make more of this, and I'm gonna have a perfect quilt someday. Perfectly happy, scrappy quilt. So those 2 are done as well. So that's all for sewing. I know it's quite a lot because sewing is just way faster than knitting, but I enjoy it and I want to keep doing it. So you're gonna see more sewing in the future. For everything else, I have 2 things. I talked last week about the Sew Together bags that I sent out, and I hoped they would arrive because I had the fear that they were lost, because I sent them out on Tuesday, and until Sunday I hadn't heard from anyone that they had gotten it. But on Monday I heard from all 5 of the people that I sent out something, and all 5 of them were gone for the weekend. So no one was home from Thursday to Sunday. And yeah, the bags were delivered while they were gone, and they could just thank me when they were home again. So I'm just glad that they arrived. They all seem to like their bags, and yeah, that makes me happy. The other thing that I have on everything else, as we are nearing the end of the year, I want to talk about goals for next year. I'm going to talk about my real goals for next year in my last episode for this year, because that just makes sense to me, or the first episode next year. But I do have about 1 million things on my needles, and one of my big goals really is to finish those, to work through my whips and UFOs. And I wanted to ask if you were interested in a kind of whip shaming, and me doing a special episode where I show all the things that I have started on my needles. If you are interested in that, please let me know in the comments section below or in the Ravelry group, and I will try to make one of those between Christmas and New Year, if you're interested. If not, I won't, because why waste your and my time for something that no one's interested in, right? Okay, so that's it for this week. I hope you have a wonderful week. It started snowing outside, and it makes me happy because I'm a 5-year-old inside. And yeah, I hope you're great. Enjoy everything you do. We talk again next week, I hope. Until then, bye.